Hi guys, I wanted to share some little tweaks and setups to get the best out of your Sur-ron. So let's start with the lever setup. So obviously you need to adjust the levers for the right angle for your arms while you're riding, especially if you're off-road in attack positions. They should be slightly pointed down to make sure your arms are straight. Don't tighten them up too much. You want this to be able to roll, because if you fall off, you don't want it to break. If it's fixed solid, more likely to snap, so leave that. But here's the tip I think it's very important that you may miss. So in here's a little Allen key, and this adjusts the lever out and in. Now I often find that the levers are too close to the bars or the hand grips and you can't get full braking force. Another thing is, watch where the throttle sits. There's a flat section there, and that will stop your brake if it's in the wrong position. But you want to bring those out so you can get maximum force on your brakes. So each of the levers has a little Allen key in there, and you can adjust that in to suit your hand grip. So another thing that you want to think about is disconnecting the brake cutoffs and setting up your regen. Now technically I really dislike the brake cutoffs, so I ditch them straight away. Now if you've got a later model Sur-ron, it should come with this little cord adapter, so I won't go into the full details, but with this you can actually adjust your regen. There's 3 settings: soft, medium and full regen, or you can cut the regen completely. Now as far as regen goes, I prefer maximum regen. It's something to get used to. Obviously with an electric bike you want it to be as efficient as possible, so maximum regen, if you can get used to it, is I think the best setting. On my race bikes I actually have it very aggressive and I'm finding it's working very well. So not only can you adjust your regen, but you can get rid of the e-brake cutoff. So I'll put the instructions in the comments. That's an important setup. You want to get that right. Now another little thing that you'll notice on your bike, if you've got the D&M forks, the volcanoes, is there's this little weird blue thing. So what you can do with that is set it up high, and when you ride and compress your suspension, it will actually push down and it will show you how far your travel is. Now that allows you to set up your suspension with your preload and your rebound. So you want to be able to use your suspension. So let's say you're going out for a hard ride and the blue section only goes down this far, then your settings are not correct, you're too firm. So you want to basically use as much of your suspension as possible. So use this as an indicator to set your preload and your rebound in here. Now in the Sur-ron instructions it's quite detailed on how to set these up. Won't go into that, but it's really important to set up your suspension correctly. Another thing on the Sur-ron is I think a lot of people run the chain too loose. So because the pivot on the front sprocket is directly on the pivot of the swing arm, means the chain doesn't vary in tension as the suspension is compressed. This is very different to a normal dirt bike, because your sprocket would be back here, and as your suspension compresses, the chain tightens, so you have to have it loose, but not on the Sur-ron. So run it tight. So you want to probably 12 or half an inch play, and what you do is just check the wheel periodically, just in case there's slight differences. Just turn that around, make sure it's similar all the way around. I could actually have this chain a little bit tighter, so it's a little bit loose there. The other thing is, try and get this back as far as you can. You could try another link in here, but the further back you are on the adjustment on both sides, the more stability it has. The wheelbase is quite short, so as your chain stretches and this goes back, it's probably a good thing. Another little tweak I've picked up is to get maximum turning circle, and this is important for really tight wooded riding, is just adjust the bump stops. So these little D&M bump stops, you can turn them around. So you'll notice this here hits and it's restricting. So what I do is I spin them right around. So basically it only hits the flat section, and that increases your turnability. So you can adjust them to wherever you like, but maximum is good. And it does depend how far up they go as to where they hit. If you want extra turning, you can put the bump stops up a bit higher, but you'd have to remove your number plate. And that definitely helps when you're in tricky situations. You can get your maximum turn. So another thing is, before you go replacing the tyres, try dropping your air pressures or playing with the air pressures. So for off-road, if it's not extremely rocky and I want maximum grip, I will drop my air pressure 10 or 12 pounds. Now this is obviously depending on your riding style, etc., but it's amazing how much more grip you will get in loose dirt if your tyre pressure is lower. You can't go too low, otherwise your rim will spin, or you might dent your rim if you hit a large rock. But try that first before you go spending the money on expensive tyres, because I don't think there's any perfect solution on the 19-inch rims. We need to look at different options. So I hope you've enjoyed these little tweaks. They do make a difference, and the thing is that combined, all of them together, just makes the Sur-ron handle that little bit better and perform that little bit better and be a bit more comfortable.